Atlanta Falcons on the clock at 8.
Yeah. What's their biggest need?
The mock draft sim has it at defensive line.
It's gotta be edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been edge rusher since 2008.
Oh, I thought you were going to hit me with an administration.
Oh yeah, since
the Carter administration,
since pre-Obama. Pre-Obama, I think it's been.
That was the Bush administration.
The Bush administration, yeah.
HW, right? No, W.
No, since the early 90s, actually.
Yeah, since the late 80s.
Since 91, since the Gulf War.
Since the first one.
First one, of course. So anyway, edge rusher for a while here for Atlanta.
Okay. Now.
This is where we get to play the game here.
What do we do with edge rusher?
The money, for people that put money on such things, the money is on Dallas Turner, the edge rusher from Alabama, to be the first defensive player off the board. And that is a very common mock draft selection. In fact, I believe even our friends Daniel Jeremiah and Mel Kiper Jr. may have both had Dallas Turner to Atlanta, coincidentally. And we might upset the apple cart here.
Well, here we go. Keep vamp for a little bit while I look something up, because I'm going to be writing about
Atlanta's edge rush situation right now. Arnold Ebiketie.
Yes.
Lorenzo Carter. D'Angelo Malone. Zach Harrison. Clearly, I think that's their biggest need. I don't know what Mike Clay has. The other thing I would say, if you just want a starting corner, so you have A.J. Terrell, the other cornerback position. You have Clark Phillips, the third, second-year player who's probably better fit in the slot. Mike Hughes, who is in the slot. So you could say starting corner. I could say corner and edge, comparable need here, I think, for the Falcons. So
Dallas Turner is, I think we brought this up before, that, and people shockingly misunderstood it a little bit, the Latu versus Dallas Turner in particular. Let's put Jared Verse off to the side for a second. But a lot of people, the Latu versus Turner thing is sort of, it feels a little bit like a rerun of Aiden Hutchinson versus Trayvon Walker in terms of super athlete versus better production, right? Which isn't to say that the better production guy isn't also a good athlete, or that the super athlete doesn't have production. And in this case, they're closer to being crossovers than they were with Aiden Hutchinson versus Trayvon Walker, where Walker had no production but was the freakiest athlete the game had ever seen, hit the NFL. But obviously Dallas Turner goes to the combine, does exactly what people thought he would do, jumped out of the gym, like crazy workout numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, Latu's production is like off the charts good. It's like right up there with kind of the Bosas and the Chase Youngs of the world. Like it's right up there with that top tier of guys. It's better, right, than Will Anderson. The Will Anderson question a year ago was, he's clearly amazing, he's a blue chip. Is he quite where the Bosas and Myles Garretts and blah, blah, blah were? Anyway, long way around to saying, clearly Latu is the more productive player and the better, more complete technical pass rusher right now. And the only thing, medical aside, the only thing that would have you put Dallas Turner above him is Dallas Turner's combine and the workout numbers and all those kinds of things. And generally it's been framed as Latu being this substandard athlete, or at least just average athlete for the position. But using the magic of PFF gas.
Oh, you're bringing the gas to the show again.
Dallas Turner, over the last 2 years, has been in pretty much the same area, and they've been around 91st percentile PFF gas. Last 2 years for Latu, 97.1, 99.7.
Yeah.
So the gas says that actually Latu may not test like the best athlete in the world, but functionally on the field, when he's moving around rushing the quarterback, this dude is a top-tier edge-rushing athlete. And when you combine that with the fact that he has off-the-charts production and maybe the most developed technical suite of pass-rushing moves we've seen hit the league ever, like since PFF has been great in college football, why would he not be your number one guy if you clear him medically?
Yeah, Latu's my number one guy. He's my number one guy. I think it's well explained. And I just want to go back over the last couple of years. I would say, now, over the last 3 years, we've had these same debates. I believe it was clear as day, Aiden Hutchinson over Trayvon Walker.
Yes.
Last year, Will Anderson versus Tyree Wilson. I believe clear as day, Will Anderson.
Yes.
This year,
it's close.
Latu versus Dallas Turner. It's not clear as day. I think it is much closer.
And Verse.
Right? It is much closer. I would have Latu verse, and then we're talking probably Dallas Turner as third, fourth for me. But to me, it's much closer. I think there's the 4 first-round edges, let's say. Trayvon Walker and Tyree Wilson were at a special level of unproductive over the course of their careers relative to other first-round edge rushers historically. In a different world, and I think we've seen that on the field that Trayvon Walker and Tyree Wilson so far, through 3 combined seasons for those two guys, have not lived up to the status of number 1 overall pick, number 7 overall pick. Dallas Turner is not at that level, so I don't mean to, we're not trying to disparage Dallas Turner.
No.
I think we're more trying to prop up Latu, and in any other year, if there was never a medical retirement, for me, I mean, he's a clear top 10 guy.
Yeah, I feel like this logic has got me into trouble before, but I'm going to stick with it and say Dallas Turner is seen as the guy with the high upside and the potential, and because he's still, I think, quite raw as a pass rusher, right? He's much more limited than Latu is in terms of the variety of ways he wins and the number of different ways he can beat you, and just the number of clubs he has in his bag in terms of being able to beat you pass rushing wise. And so people look at that and they say, I mean, this is great. Look, he's a super athlete, and he's only able to win these couple of ways. When we teach him, 2 or 3 more, well, now he's just amazing. It's like, yeah, but now if you teach him those 2 or 3 more ways, you'll get Latu. Why wouldn't you just take Latu, and then you don't have to do that, and you can, just go with the guy that's already really good? It feels a lot like the conversation with Joey Bosa when he came in, which is, is he already as good as he's going to get? To which the answer was, well, maybe, but that's Pro Bowl caliber right out of the box, right? Like the only thing that's impacted Joey Bosa's production has been injuries. In terms of is he already maxed out? He was already a Pro Bowler the second he stepped onto an NFL field. So if that's who Latu is, and again, I'm sort of putting a pin in the medical thing for a second because aside from anything else, I believe that's a binary deal, right? A team is looking at that. They're either clearing him. He's either on their board or he's not. No, the medical thing is not dropping him half a round or whatever. He's just either on the board or he's not.
Well, when he drops half a round, that's because teams
So that's the element is how many teams are taking him off the board and would that impact him? But the teams that are not are viewing him as a clean, quote-unquote, prospect. So the teams that have him on their board should be looking at him and saying, I don't have a reason to not have him as a top 10 player and the best edge rusher on the board. What is the reason? If you clear him medically, if your doctor comes in and says, the Washington guys are out of their minds, there's nothing wrong with this dude, he's good to go. If that's the medical sign-off, what is your argument for not having him go number 8?
It's just the tantalizing frame of Dallas Turner.
Right, but
that's it. I'm not making that argument.
In the range of outcomes, right? In that range of outcomes, what percentile of Dallas Turner's range of outcomes would he need to hit for him to be better than Latu at the next level, based off the information we currently have?
Yeah, like I said,
it's got to be pretty high, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm in complete agreement with you. I think Latu's the guy. I'm not going to pound the table for this one as much as we did in past years. I went out of my way to make the Aiden Hutchinson over Trayvon Walker point and make those points. I went out of my way to make Will Anderson over Tyree Wilson points. I put Tyree Wilson at 120 on my draft board to overemphasize that point.
To the cries of other people in the building.
Yeah, which was
cries of anguish.
Which wasn't low enough.
No, I know, you got it right. I mean, what does the model say about these people?
All right, I'll give you some answers.
Thank you.
Latu's a blue.
There you go.
He's 95.
See?
He's a 95.
95, that sounds high.
95th percentile.
Where was Hutchinson? Or Will Anderson?
They were both high 90s. They're in the 90s.
Okay.
They're both blues. I mean,
95.
I don't split hairs between 95, 97. That's not the point. I think being in the 90s
I was
and being
more
a blue, they were blues.
I was more like 95 is quite a long way from 90. That's quite deep into the 90s.
I forget where Anderson was, somewhere in the 90s, but blues good. Blues the elite. So Will Anderson was a blue. Aiden Hutchinson was a blue. I've got Latu and Verse as blues.
Okay.
And Dallas Turner's at 65th percentile. So again, for comparison, Trayvon Walker, depending on how I ran it, was 40 or 50th percentile, and Tyree Wilson was in the 20s. And there was 0 players in the 20s who became solid players or better. There was no history of that. There was no history of an edge defender overcoming being in the 20th percentile of Steve's draft model.
Right.
It had never happened. A 65th percentile player, has a lower chance of a blue, but it's not egregious. But that's why I would take Latu reverse.
And just to give a slight shred of context to Latu, so his production has been pretty insane. Like, he had a pass rush win rate last year of 26.2%, which is Myles Garrett territory of absurd. He's also been ridiculously good against the run, and his pressure rate was off the charts last season as well. The dude rushed the passer 300 times and had 62 pressures. That's a crazy rate. So
yeah.
Incredible production, insane technician and variety of ways to win. And it turns out, according to PFF Gas, he might be the best athlete at the position as well, even if his 40 or his vertical isn't.
I like those odds. And I also think tactically, the way Latu plays, I think he could be inside-outside. I think he can create mismatches against guards because of his technique. So.
Yeah.
All right, we're 45 minutes in. We're through 8 picks. We're taking Latu.
Long way around to saying Latu's the pick at 8.
I mean, people tune in to hear us ramble about one-off specific subjects like Latu versus Turner.
That was information.
That was great information. Of course, we're giving a ton of information, which is great. So we might, I don't know if we're ever going to get to like specific edge rankings or not, or maybe we'll fly through them and not go into great detail, but that's the clip that you need. Why would we take Latu or even Verse over Dallas Turner? Those would be the reasons. Saints' biggest need here at pick 14.
D-line, right? Is it still?
We really need to update our needs here. We have QB as their top need. What's going on?
The Saints?
Like on the mock draft simulator. Why is QB the top need?
That just feels like Timo doesn't like Derek Carr.
Yeah, Timo. Come on, man.
D-line, we've got, they signed Chase Young. They've got Carl Granderson still, who's good and ascending. Cameron Jordan reaching the end of his lifespan on the D-line, not generally. Nathan Shepard, Brian Brzee on the interior, Kalen Saunders. Like, interior is a need, right? Are they the first D tackle team?
D tackle might be a need. I think tackle's still a need, depending on how you're looking at this. You're just giving, on one hand, year 3 offensive linemen like Trevor Penning probably need an opportunity to break out. I keep bringing up this potential misinformation that Ryan Ramczyk is considering retirement, has degenerative knees.
I mean, I think he's reaching the end regardless. So, but it's not a need for this year, probably.
Okay.
But the left tackle thing is, number one, you've got Trevor Penning, who they're going to give the chance to do it this year, almost certainly. Number two is, even if he couldn't, like, James Hurst was better at left tackle than Penning was, and was actually pretty solid. So you're almost set at left tackle. It's left guard would be the problem if you're moving James Hurst.
Well, we're not taking a guard here.
You could take Fontenot and just hedge.
Yeah, both.
Either or.
A flexible offensive lineman like Fontenot.
You just take a left-sided player. He's gonna fix one of our left-sided problems.
I don't hate that as a.
I mean, is that a bigger need than D tackle, where it's basically if Brian Brzee doesn't take a big step forward, they're kind of boned?
They drafted Brzee in the first last year, though.
Yes.
So I don't think they're going to view it as such. Colin Saunders and Nathan Shepard are fine. They're solid players. Brzee, I mean, that's like a decent. I could see them viewing that as a decent depth chart going into this year. We're not a massive need.
I mean, if we're saying Trevor Penning needs to be replaced, and Brian Brzee hasn't shown you anything more than Trevor Penning, albeit on less.
He was only 1 year as a developmental player too. Brzee is what I saw from him. I mean, would you? There's a lot of talk about Marshawn Lattimore being on the trading block. That would open up a starting spot as well at corner.
Yeah, but he isn't at the moment.
That has not happened yet.
Until he's gone, you can't say it's a need. So it's D tackle or Fontenot.
I like the idea of the versatile offensive lineman that fills a couple. I just think offensive line was an issue last year regardless, and adding a body who could play 2 different positions, I think makes a lot of sense.
Well, their biggest problem, honestly, is that the players that they sort of they keep locking down players that play consistently poorly on the offensive line. So on the one hand, you're like, well, that's a glaring need. On the other hand, they keep signing them to long-term deals
it's just Caesar
and being
Ruiz.
like, we're set. No, because they did it before with Cankles. What's his name?
Andrews Pete.
There you go, Andrews Pete.
You can't call him Cankles just because one offensive line coach referred to him as having cankles.
And that was the thing that was going to hold him back at the next level. And it turns out he was dead on.
In hindsight.
Andrews Pete's cankles meant that he was never a good player, and yet for some reason the Saints gave him like a $45 million contract.
Can we pick Fontenot?
Yeah.
For him? Troy Fontenot from Washington going to the Saints at 14 to compete at left tackle
and or guard
in this needs-based mock.
All right.
I haven't looked at the chat yet. They must be upset.
Yeah,
Got to be upset. Has to be. Bucks are up. Yeah, 26. Like, why is running back a need for that? Like, the needs are all depending how you define them.
They're all right with running back.
Of
Rashad
course they
White,
are.
Chase Edmonds, they're good.
I know they are. I don't know why that's their top need on the
Tight end is a bit rough.
on the MDS.
Kate Otten, Payne Durham.
Now my depth chart is screwing up here. It's not loading.
Tight end's a little rough.
Otten's good.
I mean, it's all right.
Otten's a good tight end.
Corner.
Corner, now that they traded Carlton Davis.
Right.
That's definitely the need.
Jamel Dean's still good, even though he looks like a linebacker.
It's absolutely cornerback. So
It is.
Nate Wiggins next up on the PFF draft board, or Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I mean, I think Nate Wiggins is a much better corner than Kool-Aid.
The Kool-Aid hate. Is this up there with Christian Gonzalez level hate, where you were wrong?
The man played like 7 snaps. We don't know anything about him yet.
Shut down Tyreek Hill. Shut him down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonzalez is good. You could chalk that one up. Yeah, I think corner's the biggest need for the Bucs here.
So Wiggins.
Yeah, Nate Wiggins.
Done. Easy.